This is our third and final attempt to get that bracket right there to clean up like that one did. Easy. And epic fail. Restoration of a classic Ford is a journey of discovery. Let Autocrafters help you with yours. We offer quality parts for Falcon, Fairlane, F-Series, Galaxy, Maverick, and Pinto. Contact us today. All right, I have my resistor switch for, it's not really the switch, it's actually just a resistor for the blower motor. I've cleaned this up with a water and simple green mix to get all the schmutz off the top of it. On the back side, when they put this together, they put it in the case using strip caulk. And so I've cleaned a lot of the strip caulk off just so that I can get this thing to lay flat with the new strip caulk, what little I have left of it, on top of the case so it'll look more correct. I have not tested this one, but honestly it is a fairly simple resistor. If this is busted and broken, it will not work because this is part of your ground leg, I believe. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. If you know what all the legs on this go for, leave me a comment in the section below and we'll talk about it. Anyway, this is probably one of the first pieces I will put back in the case. I'm going to roll this thing over and flip it toward me. All right, so I'm going to use two of my case screws. That's these screws right here. They're 5/16, so I'm going to try to grab some of my smaller, junkier pieces of strip caulk and put them down. Try not to get them in the screw holes if I can help it. Trust me, the Ford guys, they probably weren't that neat about it. This is not an indictment of the guys that worked at Ford. It's just the way things were. They're working on an assembly line at what I would call a fairly high rate of speed. It really doesn't matter on the Galaxy which way you put this thing in here. I'm going to put it with this facing the back. I don't think it matters that much. This doesn't need to go deep either, it just needs to seal off. You might be wondering, why seal this off? Well, the reason they sealed this off was to control heat. This is a heater box, this is not a AC box, and I'll get into that in just a second. This box was designed for the heat through the heater core to constantly flow. In other words, there was always hot air inside the car, inside of this case. The problem you have with that is if the blower is running for whatever reason and you don't have this upper seal in place and all the seals inside the case are gone, the car is always going to be a little warm inside because there is no heater control valve on the hot water hose that comes into the cab of the car. Ford went away with that with the later Mustangs and stuff like that. Those cars after 1965 started getting the heater control valve because I think Ford found that after a little while it was hard to get these things where you wouldn't feel like there was a heater running inside the car, mostly because of the heater case developing heat and not being able to not distribute it through the rest of the car. You'd have to shut things down and close things off, run your fresh air vent, and that would control your heat to a degree. But that's what all the stuff that we're talking about today is going to be revolving around, is the fact that you have a box that controls your heat and does not have any kind of water valve to control the heat. You control the heat with the flapper valves, and if those flapper valves don't have the foam on them, you're going to end up looking like somebody who has the meat sweats. And maybe you go to Taco Bell before you go to your cruise night, but it's going to be going to be a problem. I don't know where that came from. It's going to be a problem with one of these cases if it does this. If it doesn't have a nice soft thump when those valves open up in there and close in there, these on this end, then you're getting more heat inside the car than you really want. All right, because we are working with this stuff, which is contact cement, this is your get high quick while you're working in the shop. It will make you see colors and things. If you do not work in a well-ventilated area, I'm not suggesting you do that. If you want to get high, there are much better and easier ways to do it than with contact cement. This is the brand that we use. Why do I have a gallon? Because when I bought this, it was all that was there. Now, what I'm going to do is, you have to understand how these work, and the seal kits are pretty specific, believe it or not. Now, this is part of the seal kit that we got from the guys at Autocrafters. We like their product line. We've been working with Autocrafters for years, even before we started doing stuff on the Auto Restomod Man It Mechanic shows. This is specific. This one goes to the back plate over here, and you can see that there are 2 divots cut. Those divots correspond to divots on the plate itself, and they actually go on the plate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this one because it's a little easier to see, and it is not side specific. It is basically a bit of a square. Now, why it's longer, I don't know. Probably to serve as a flap to keep the stuff out of the interior, because there is an open space between the actual flapper valve and the case itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some contact cement on the plate side of this. Yummy, tasty contact cement. This shouldn't have a negative effect on this at all, the contact cement. I want to make sure if you do get some on the base here, you wipe it out, because you're going to be putting some on the back side of this as well. I want to make sure I'm in the right position here. Yes, I am. On contact cement, you want to wait until it loses that glossy sheen. As soon as it dries up enough, I will go in and I will set this on here. I'm showing you this because I wanted to show you that on this, I have learned a lesson. You should leave a little bit of open air there if you don't want it to be sticky. Stay limber. Taking it and running it up to the top edge and then laying it in. All right, what I want to show you here is what happens when you do this. You get a full seal. What will happen over time, these seals are going to go away because that's just how this stuff works. But when you first bought the car and you opened or closed the heater, it would knock off all this. There'd be no way for the air to get around it to come out and into the case over here through the heater, through the defroster ducts, or the floor heater right here. All right, so here's what you've got. Whenever you're working one of these systems, if it's sitting here, you're getting a blend. This is basically, you're getting hot air pulled in across the heater core. It's coming in here. It's going up mostly through the defroster ducts, but you are getting some air to the floor. The more you open this up, the more you get an actual blend. If you say, nope, I don't want anything in the cab, you do that and it completely shuts it off and no air gets into the cab, at least theoretically. There may be a little bit of air bleed around the sections, but I don't think so. I think you're going to be fine. Whenever I opened this case up, there was actually weather strip caulk all the way across here. So they were trying to control the airflow inside this part of the case. There was zero around out here. It was down through here, around here, and in the side. So this had strip caulk up here, and there was also strip caulk in the back section where there's airflow as well. All right, so that's that one done. The harder one is going to be the bigger flapper valve on the other side. I'll give you a glimpse of where that is. That's this valve right here. This is the one. This is the one I'm dreading the most because it's going to be really hard to get the contact cement on the back side of this plate. I'm going to be struggling with that for a minute, trying to figure out if I've got enough so that I can get the seal to stick to it. Front side, yeah, that's pretty easy. I can get that done in a heartbeat. Backside, a little bit more problematic. All right, now I'm going to go in and work on the big plate that separates the fresh air section from the rest of the assembly. And it's going to be kind of a tickly here. I'm trying to keep everything off of the backing plate. As much as I can. Now, these are also specific for position. There is a shorter curve on the top than on the bottom of this. This is the top of the case. This is the bottom of the case. So this sits this way in the case. I'm going to roll it over and lather it up. And my gloves disintegrated, so. It doesn't take a ton of this product in order for it to get sticky and hold. The ticklish part of this is going to be getting it underneath that ledge because it tends to roll up when you use contact cement. Okay, I think I know what I'm going to do here. You're probably not going to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to set this a little wet so it will stick like it's supposed to. And allow me some movement and room to set it in. Sorry folks, I don't think I was going to be able to show you that because of the position. Yeah, that's about what it's supposed to be right there. I'm going to try to paint this on the inside without being able to see it. So I have no idea whether I'm getting contact cement where it needs to be or just where it wants to be. Now, why am I doing this? Because, you know, the best thing to do would be obviously to remove the door and redo it. But the problem with doing that is I have to take out all the aircraft rivets or whatever you want to call those rivets. And I don't want to do that because I don't have a way to reapply them. So sometimes you just kind of have to, as they used to say in the Bible, cut the baby in half and hope for the best. Trying to get some right out to the very edge of it. And now for the sticky bit, I'm going to put the stuff on here. I'm hoping to put this in a little bit wet, but I am not moving fast enough probably to make that happen. contact cement and weather strip adhesive are from the same mom, so to speak. And we'll try to roll this in here and get it to stick as quick as I can. It's like wrestling a cat. I always look up when I'm working like this. It's like I'm maybe looking for help from the Lord. I don't know. But I do. Oddly enough, I got that to stick. Weird. All right, so what this is a, I believe, part of the blower motor. This is the gasket that goes between it and the cage. I'll pull it up here so you can see it. I think that's probably the gasket that goes like between here and here. This is the outside perimeter gasket. This car did not have that gasket. They actually used strip caulk on this originally. We're not going to do that. But this gasket is the one that goes in here. I ain't touching that. I'm leaving it alone. It's all encased inside the car. I don't think it's going to have a weather issue. So I think we're going to just leave that lay where it is. Oh. So now that's done. That's all the stuff inside this portion of the case. I'm going to leave it alone. What I will tell you about contact cement that is somewhat of an issue. Contact cement is great and it works really well for doing this kind of stuff, but it is also pretty bad smelling for a little while. You don't want to do this and put it right in the car and go for a drive because it's going to reek inside the car of contact cement. But honestly, it's probably outside of weather strip adhesive the best way to go where this is concerned. All right, folks, that's it for this week. We are done. We've got one more thing, a couple more things to button up on this heater case, and then we'll be jumping on the Ranchero again. We're trying to get that car done to run it on Power Tour. I am not holding out a ton of hope at this point because we are just way behind. But what's not behind is Patreon. We'd like for you to join us on Patreon. If you come on at the $10 a month level, you get monthly meetings with me on Zoom. It's me in person, chit-chatting with you guys, answering tech questions. It is a good time. We really enjoy ourselves. And if we've ever done anything to keep your car running or to help you learn how to do something on a consistent basis, you might want to contribute some money to it. It doesn't have to be at the $10 a month level. You can do $1, you can do $4, whatever. We've got guys like Pat Lee that are doing way more than 10 bucks. So if you want to get up in those levels, it's going to be Nitro or Super Nitro or something like that. But it's a good way to show us that you appreciate what we do for you on a weekly and monthly basis. So there you go. Also, we're going to be talking about Super Thanks, the best idea that the marketing guys at YouTube probably didn't spend enough time on, in my opinion, but it's what we've got, so that's what we're working with. If we've done a video that's given you that one-time, holy cow, I didn't know that, I'm glad I watched this video from Autorestomod, then that's where that money should go. You put that money in that kitty, anywhere from, I don't know what it is, like the minimum of a couple bucks all the way up to whatever you want to give us. $1.5 million, we'll sure as heck take it and we'll use it in a good and wholesome way. Right? Right. So now, folks, do me a favor, be kind to each other, love each other, treat each other nice. You guys have a great week and we'll see you on down the road. So we actually have the case finished up. I'm not going to show you the back because it's pretty cool. But there's so much more information that the video would have been an hour long. I know some of you guys say to me an hour is okay, but there are a lot of other guys that may not have an hour to spend at lunch watching an entire video on the probably second most boring procedure you'll do on a Galaxy, and that is putting a heater box together. So come back next week. We'll see the rest of this. It'll be awesome. And then we'll move back over to the Ranchero, and that'll be awesome too. We try to be as awesome as we can for you guys. Peace. Later.